out, fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Megatron from the Transformers Earthspark line from Hasbro. So as you can see here, we have the new standard plastic-free packaging. So you have the open window here so you can see the figure inside. Package otherwise pretty fun and colorful. I like the color scheme they have going on here. Nice artwork of Megatron here on the front. I still think it's weird that he has a tiny little M goatee looking thing there on his chin. Not really sure what that's about. Otherwise, we have some nice artwork here on the side. Some more artwork here on top. Not really anything going on the bottom. And then we have a picture on the side of the Build-A-Figure Dr. Meridian Mandroid. Over here on the back, we have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. And then a look at the other figures that will eventually be available. I think it's going to take us about 3 waves to complete this Build-A-Figure here. So no idea how long that's going to take, but probably most of the year, unfortunately. So going to go ahead and get Megatron out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Megatron out of the packaging. For the most part, I think he's okay. He's got a couple of kibbly pieces, and he's got these really hollow legs back here. Now, it's mostly for the transformation, but I feel like they could have done something, maybe just have a panel close up or something over there just to hide the fact that they're that hollow. He's got these giant kind of propeller pieces that hang off the forearms. I'm not too crazy about either because they kind of get in the way. That's not a big clearance issue, but they kind of get in the way when you want to utilize that elbow articulation there, which is kind of a bummer. Here is the head sculpt, which I have to admit is just, it's a little goofy to me. I think it's just the facial expression. I think the eyes look good. Nicely painted red eyes there. Nice silver for the face. And he's got the little goatee thing going on. It's not quite the letter M that it is on the front of the packaging. But just something about the expression on his face with his mouth there is just a little weird to me. Definitely doesn't make him look threatening. And I know he's not really supposed to be threatening on this show. But I feel like even though he's changed his allegiances, he's still Megatron, right? Like he should still seem menacing and imposing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Here is a faction symbol here on the chest. I'm not really familiar with what's going on with this. I haven't seen the show. I don't have Paramount Plus, unfortunately. But it looks like it's some kind of larger symbol with a little Decepticon symbol there in the center. And I believe Optimus has something similar with a little Autobot symbol. So I'm sure it means something in the show. Some nice red paint here on the abdomen. Nice little blue silver paint, silver metallic-y blue paint there for the cockpit. A little bit of paint here on the forearms and for the hands, and then over here on these pieces. So overall, some nice little paint applications. The head can turn from side to side. You get a little bit of like front to back. You can look, mostly just kind of look up a little bit. Can't really look down all that much. Nothing side to side. So you've got a couple of articulation points here in the shoulder. You have the actual hinge in the actual torso itself, which is mostly for the transformation. Then you have a ball joint in the actual shoulder pad. You do have some movement here. It's mostly just for the transformation. This can unclip, but I guess technically if you wanted to utilize that for some reason in the robot mode, you could. But mostly he just has this ball joint here at the elbow. And then nothing in the hands. That is a solid piece. Nothing in the waist. He does have a nice ball joint for the hip. Now he's got this little skirt back here that you can lift up so that you can get full rotation out of the hip. I mean, you can kick all the way back. You can kick all the way forward. And if you move everything out of the way, you can kick all the way out to the side as well. So really nice range of motion there. You have these little side skirt pieces that are on ball joints so you can move them all over the place. You have thigh swivel, and then you have way over 90 degrees in the knee, again, because of the transformation. You do have ankle tilt, side to side. You can tilt this part of the foot because of the transformation, kind of the toe section. But the whole thing doesn't move, just the little toe section there. But yeah, I mean, decent articulation. Not terrible, not great. Obviously, I would have liked something in the waist, but because of the way he transforms, you'll see in a minute, that's not really possible. And I would have liked an actual bicep swivel, but again, because of the way it transforms, not really possible. Also, we'll get into it a little bit more in the transformation, but it would have been nice if they could have had the fists rotate back into the forearms like we saw with Bumblebee, because in the vehicle mode, they're going to just be hanging out for all to see. So would have been nice if they could have at least, I understand there's no swivel, but just to have them rotate back into the forearms would have been nice. But not bad. He does come with one accessory. He's got his signature fusion cannon. So you can either peg that here on the side, which looks all right. Or if you want, you can have him hold it in his fist. See, this piece moves around. Maybe even if it hooked in place, I don't know. Maybe that would be worse. I don't know. These things just bug me. Now, you can have him hold it in his hand, but you kind of have to straighten everything out to accomplish it, which is why I don't really bother with this option. But you can peg this into his hand, but then he kind of can't use his elbow articulation because this is so long. So I say, just go ahead and pop it onto the side here. Fits better there anyway. And now you have Megatron with your fusion cannon. Not too bad. Oh, also he comes with an arm. So for the Build-A-Figure piece, you get this arm. It's one solid piece. And then they painted the hand. I think it's all molded in black, and then they painted the hand. And then you just have this hinge here in the shoulder. So far, I got 2 arms. And that's it. Hey, can somebody lend me a hand? Oh, yeah, it's bad. Anyway, so let's go ahead. Actually, before we get into transformation, let's do some comparisons here. We have Bumblebee, Deluxe Bumblebee. You can see that they're pretty much the same size. And then we also have Warrior Class Prime. You can see he's pretty much the same size as well. I think they all look pretty good together. So let's go ahead, let's get into transformation here for Megatron. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and just take off the fusion cannon. And we'll put that off to the side for the moment. So you're actually going to grab a hold of the kind of like waist assembly area and just pull the torso straight up. So you can see that that's actually on a slide and the head will sink down into the chest cavity. And that's why we can't have any waist articulation. Although I feel like they could have maybe put a swivel in there, but I think it would have made it difficult and maybe too brittle. That's my guess. At this point, you can go ahead and bring the shoulder pads up, and they will just snap into each other like so. And for whatever reason, it's a little difficult, I think because there's not really a great place to grab a hold of it. There we go. So that connects in like that. Then you're going to rotate these pieces around, and be careful because you can't really rotate them both ways because the propeller blades will start to hit into these, so you have to rotate them around this way. Then what you're going to do is unhook them at that joint I showed you earlier. And as you do that, you'll rotate the hand around on the ball joint so that these clip into here. So this comes around and that pegs into there. So unhook this, rotate the hand forearm around on the ball joint, and bring that in like that. So you can see that's pretty much the entire front of the ship. And then you can just kind of, you know, bring this all in, make sure that's all close. So you can see what I mean about the hands really just hanging out there. It would have been nice if they could have folded back into the forearm. Even if they didn't fold into the forearm, even if they just hinged so that they were like sticking out this way, like not completely hidden, not a full 180, even just 90 degrees so that they were facing this way and you wouldn't see them from the front, would have been something. But all right, then you're going to take these little skirt pieces and you're going to rotate them around, and there's a tiny little notch right in there that this piece right here is going to notch into. So this is just going to come up and just sit into this notch, or it'll just completely pop off the ball joint. One or the other. One or the other. So this is going to come up, there we go, like that. So this little tab there is going to rotate up into the notch, although it's not wanting to line up. There we go. Okay. So those pieces just hang there. You're going to take the legs, you're going to rotate them out to the side. Actually, no, I'm sorry, in towards each other. And then you're going to flip them around, and then you're just going to fold up the toes like that. And then this will come around, and you might have to kind of move the toes down. I find it easier if you move them down so they're not in the way. And then you can bring this up and peg these together like this. And then you can kind of, oh, so that wasn't in all the way. Then you can bring this down, and there's kind of these two tiny little tabs right there that'll kind of fit into this little recessed area here. And that just kind of clips that in like that. And then you can kind of do whatever you want with the feet. If you want to push them down, if you want to kind of push them up to fill in the space, you can. But there is your vehicle mode for Megatron. It is some kind of little hovercraft, plane, propeller thing. I am not an aviation specialist by any means, but that is the vehicle mode. You can take the fusion cannon and you can actually split this in half, which is a little easier said than done because it has 3 or 4 spots where it tabs in, pegs in together. So you kind of have to, there you go, you can get that apart. And then you can actually take this and you can see this little area here that you can peg this in on here, and that kind of fills out the engine area a little bit, which I think actually kind of works. I think it's actually a smart place to store the weapon. So then that would be his like fully combined aircraft mode. It's okay. It's not the best. You can definitely see the whole torso section here, and the hands are really just hanging out there. Like I said, even if they could have just rotated them back so that they were oriented like this, it would have been something. Otherwise, I think the legs actually come together pretty well, and then the way this back skirt piece kind of fits in, I feel like that's all kind of streamlined. The wings I don't mind as much. I think that's actually a smart way to store the weapon. The propellers work decently. This little section here isn't too bad. I just really don't love seeing all of this under here, and I really don't like just having the fists hang out there. But otherwise, not too terrible. Honestly, I like Megatron more than I thought I was going to, but he's still not a great figure. I think he's okay, but he definitely has a few drawbacks that just kind of hold him back a little bit for me. The way the fusion cannon mounts and the way the articulation is, it's not really an easy way to get off kind of his iconic pose of like shooting the fusion cannon forward. It just doesn't really work all that well. Plus the way it attaches, I feel like it should have attached more up here. I don't know, it's just something about it attaching in the middle. When you do kind of get it to work, it just doesn't look right. It also kind of feels like it should be oriented more this way. Like I feel like the peg should be down here, so it looks kind of off. I don't know. Everything about the fusion cannon I just think doesn't work as well as it could. I do like the way it connects to the vehicle mode, but just having it here on the side, I just think it's not that successful of an accessory. I really still don't like these panels here on the side of the forearms. I feel like they could have done something, even if they could have just put a simple hinge to have this piece fold down and maybe like have this peg into this section here just to clear up, you know, some of this area in the bicep area. I think that would have helped. I'm not wild about the head sculpt. Mostly just the facial expression I think is a little weird. Yeah, like I said, he's not perfect. He's fine. I can't say I hate it. I can't say I'm super, you know, upset about it. It's fine. Same with the vehicle mode. I think it's okay. I think parts of it look good. I don't really like the way that the hands just hang out there on the side. If they could have done something to like rotate the fists back, even just 90 degrees, I feel like that would have been a big help. I think with these figures, they are a little bit cheaper than like a normal deluxe. At this point, a normal deluxe is like $23.25, and these are $19.99. So we have the warrior class, and then these are like a little bit of a step up from that, but they're not really full on like actual like Evolution deluxes or Studio Series deluxes. They don't have that level of engineering, and I think that at least the price reflects that a little bit. So I think we have to kind of, you know, temper our expectations, as it were. And for, you know, like a little bit more basic figure, I think he's okay. The transformation is pretty simple to do back and forth, which is nice. And I think the vehicle mode is okay. It's not perfect. Just the same thing with the robot mode. It's okay. It's not perfect. Now, I know there is a listing for a warrior class Megatron, and I don't know if that's going to be better or worse. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, for the most part, I just think he's okay. He's fun. If you just want a representation of Earthspark Megatron, I think this guy is fine. But he's just a couple things that, you know, like the panels on the forearms, the gun, the facial expression, just kind of keep him from being perfect for me. But he's honestly not bad. The paint applications are pretty nice. Articulation is decent, not amazing, but decent. So they're kind of like, I can't call them budget figures because I don't really think, they're not like the Warrior class. They are kind of a step above that. But I also don't think it's fair to hold them to the same standard as like an Evolution Deluxe, because those are even $5 more. So to go one step even further beyond. It's kind of like you start out here, and then you can put a little bit more money in and get to here. And then if you put a little bit more money in, you can get to here. So it's kind of like steps, and you can decide what price point you want to get into. But yeah, so he's fine. He's not amazing. He's not terrible. He's very middle of the road. But I think there's still fun to be had here. We'll see how it goes. And don't forget your arm, because you get an extra arm, and that's a big selling point. See, I would rather don't even do this. I don't care about the Build-A-Figure. Take that couple extra cents, dollar, whatever that extra piece amounts to, tool the gun a little better. Make the fists rotate back. Put a little bit more love into the figure and keep that Build-A-Figure junk for something else, because it doesn't, for me personally, doesn't really do anything for me. I'd rather you put a little bit more love into the figure. But like I said, he's not terrible. He's just okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.